I've seen a lot of bad analysis and reviews in my time,
full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
But nothing has been a lightning rod for absolute mind-boggling stupidity like the Barbie movie.
This movie is made for no one. Week one, this thing is going to clean up at the domestic box office. My prediction is going to just absolutely fall off a cliff after that. The repeat business on this movie is going to be non-existent.
Barbie really is a wolf in sheep's clothing, and I can't help but wonder how many future man-hating psychopaths are going to be created because of this film.
Okay, I'm gonna focus on some of what Ben Shapiro and the Critical Drinker had to say. There's some truly pants-on-head moronic stuff in there that made me suspect that these guys might suffer from a lifelong debilitating disease known as WDS. I'll expand on that later.
So fucking delicate like mommy's fine china.
Okay, these two straight up did not understand very basic messaging from the movie. Like, they kept suggesting that the movie hates men.
This is a movie made by people who utterly despise men and masculinity. As far as this film's concerned, women are simply amazing, and men and everything they do are utterly irredeemably shit.
And the way that they get immunity is by learning to hate the men. That's the way. That they have to learn to hate men. Okay.
But their evidence for it is actually brain dead.
All the Barbie and Ken dolls live together in Barbie Land, a kind of magical counterpart to the real world, which is portrayed as a peaceful feminist utopia where all the important jobs are done by the Barbies, and the Kens just kind of exist. They've got no inherent value, they contribute nothing, they have no power or say in how their society is run, and they're basically looked down on as a bit silly and irrelevant by the Barbies. Oh my goodness, what could the writers possibly be trying to tell us about their views on men?
There's no way. This guy has 2 million subs, by the way. Saying that the men are losers in Barbie Land, therefore the film believes that men are actually losers, is so unbelievably dense. Like, NASA could study the drinker's brain to better understand black holes. Like, a kindergartner would have understood that Barbie Land is not supposed to be a utopia. At least not an actual one. It acts as a satire of a surface level pop feminist's idea of a utopia. There are actually a lot of toxic aspects to this place.
And we all call her Weird Barbie, both behind her back and also to her face.
She's so weird.
If you're not a perfect, pretty, happy girl boss, then you're shunned.
Do you guys ever think about dying?
Well, let's not show Midge, actually. She was discontinued by Mattel because a pregnant doll is just too weird.
It's ultimately just fake, it's a facade. There's no children, there's no old people. I think it's very telling that the main character chooses to leave at the end. And if it somehow wasn't clear enough, it's an apartheid state. So yeah, I don't know how you end up thinking this is a sincere feminist utopia.
You might imagine at this point, the way the film is going to go is that Ken and Barbie are going to have to some sort of agreement about seeing each other as equal human beings. You might imagine that's where it's going. Wrong. That's not where the film is going to go. You might have thought that what you were going to get was Ken gets treated with respect as a person, and Barbie gets treated with respect as a person. And that's a better... Nope, wrong.
Wait, but that literally happens, though. In fact, it's a crucial point towards the end of the movie. Barbie even apologizes to Ken.
I think I owe you an apology. I'm really sorry I took you for granted. Not every night had to be girls' night.
And not just do they start to see each other as equal, but importantly, Ken starts to see himself as an equal. What do you think his whole song was about? It was pretty explicit.
And that turns into a musical number. It's just a 15-minute digression because they wanted to insert a crappy musical number with not particularly good dancing.
Oh, he just straight up didn't get it. Here's the point. Society puts a lot of pressure on men to be great, to be rich, to be buff, to be in control, to be ultra competitive. Even romantically, women are usually seen as the prize, right? Simply because they have a second pair of lips. This song was a little push against that. It's a bit of a boy power, men you are good enough kind of moment. But also it's just a good universal message that we all have value, and that doesn't come from the things you own or who you date. But no, all that just like goes over their head somehow.
There are no decent males in the entire film. All the men are garbage.
What about Alan? I mean, he was perfectly decent. Oh wait, Ben dismisses Alan because he thinks he's gay.
I mean, the only decent male is Alan, who apparently wants to wear pink and probably is supposed to be gay. I mean, I think it's supposed to be pretty clear.
To be honest, I don't know how clear it is, but I mean, he's still a male.
I know I'm a man. It's his insecurity, not mine.
Also, what about Ken? You could even argue he's the real protagonist of the film. He was mistreated, goes through a bit of a villain era, and then he comes out the other side as a good guy. Actually, we all know he's the protagonist because he's literally...
The real world and all the men in it are shown to be universally, irredeemably horrible. Because of course they are.
Wrong, there was also the dad-husband guy. You know, Ian from Smosh, he was alright. I mean, look, maybe the movie could have had more decent males, but this feels kind of weak to me.
Ken has brought the patriarchy back with him and turned the whole place into a giant frat party in the space of like a day.
The point of the film is that the matriarchy is amazing. Women are amazing at everything. Apparently, the women are so unbelievably competent and brilliant and great at everything over in Barbie Land that an idiot man walks in and takes over the whole place inside of 2 seconds.
This is the kind of awkward little paradox that keeps coming up when you try to constantly portray women as strong, empowered, infallible, kick-ass girl bosses who can do anything and beat anyone.
You know, they're onto something here. It's almost like the movie was actually not trying to say that women are infallible, superior beings. Bro, the Barbies were indoctrinated so fast, partly because the ideology of their society is so surface level. And that transfer of power allowed the movie to make an even deeper point, that a lot of our gendered norms are actually socialized and learned, and that it can seem attractive to even those it might harm.
I like not having to make any decisions. It's like a spa day for my brain.
I will admit, some of the parts towards the last third of the movie was a bit messy, but the overall intended messages still felt very clear to me. It's funny, I could argue against this point by just saying, this is a fast-paced, cartoony movie, not meant to be Sun Tzu's Art of War. Yeah, actual people won't be brainwashed or give up this easily. This isn't a realistic transcript on how to take over a government. I mean, sure, you can nitpick it in this way, but then you're missing the point it's actually trying to make if you think about it for just a minute. But why do that when you can just lazily claim that it hates men and that this is a paradox?
Borderline unhinged hatred of men and everything even vaguely associated with them.
Like, what freaking movie did this guy watch? Like, back up your argument, please. Anyway, for an explicitly feminist girl power kind of movie, there's a surprisingly long arm extended out for men too.
So you're a woman who wants to be a mother or a homemaker? Screw you, fascists.
Because it's okay to just want to be a mom.
It starts off with the idea that mommy dolls are bad and insufficient. Ladies, the apotheosis of your being is not motherhood. We got rid of that at the very beginning.
And if the visual metaphor of little girls happily destroying the embodiment of motherhood to focus their lives instead on a shallow and materialistic piece of consumerist trash is lost on you, then I don't know what to say, man, but you're probably the target audience for this movie.
God, the gall for this lobotomized idiot to claim that something is lost on anyone else? Like, I don't care what your affiliation is, you can't like this guy. His reviews are a crime against humanity, like he's the Derek Chauvin of reviewers. The funny thing is, this movie celebrates motherhood so much.
We mothers stand still so our daughters can look back to see how far they've come.
There's this whole emotional montage of mothers and daughters. I mean, literally, it felt like it was going on for 10 minutes. It was kind of annoying me.
Barbie eventually finds the kid who plays with her, who turns out to be an asshole communist activist feminist that I think the movie wants us to empathize with, but fuck me, for the life of me, I could not tell you why.
She receives a lecture from the teenage girl about how Barbie has ruined the world and actually is fascist. How Barbie is a sexualized, capitalistic emblem. Barbie is ruining the planet with rampant consumerism. You get like this full lecture right in the middle of the film. It's truly awful.
This girl's speech wasn't the writers telling you what they think. You're not meant to fully agree with her. She's a stereotypical angsty teenager. Like a lot of Zoomer far leftists who think they've figured out the world. Her entire spiel is cliched buzzwords.
Glorification of rampant consumerism.
The problem with America is that because of cultural imperialism, we are literally
fascist.
And her entire arc resolves by her mellowing out and understanding her mother, Barbie, and the world with a bit more nuance.
Isn't this a kids movie? It has these negative messages directed at kids. It is supposed to be a kids movie. Again, it's an audience for children. Isn't this supposed to be made for 7-year-old girls?
Somebody please think of the children.
Alright, these two incessantly argued that this movie lied by marketing to kids and then maliciously sneaking in politics to mess them up.
Barbie really is a wolf in sheep's clothing. A lot of parents will have been duped into taking their daughters along to watch this movie.
Take a piece of children's IP and wear its skin around like a mask like Hannibal Lecter. I find it upsetting when material that is based on children's IP and marketed to little girls actually ends up being angry feminist claptrap.
Yeah, except it's literally rated PG-13. The trailer had these moments.
Do you guys ever think about dying?
staring at me.
Oh, a reference to 2001: A Space Odyssey? Like, they clearly had a broader audience than just kids in mind.
We haven't played with Barbie since we were like 5 years old. Oh.
And it's 2023, like of course it's going to be somewhat subversive.
The intended audience for this film is moms and their 8-year-old daughters.
Well, someone should have told me and literally every adult male friend I have. Okay, woke derangement syndrome. These guys seem to have a terminal case of that. I think they've preemptively decided that this movie must be ultra woke, and woke, if you don't know, is bad. So that gives them the license to lie and misinterpret it. Because they're in times of war, the culture war, whatever means necessary, right? The thing is, this is not a perfect movie. It's kind of messy at times. And Ben actually does point to some fair flaws in his review, but he cakes it with horrible analysis because he's ideologically poisoned. I think these guys guys anticipated more right-leaning people to be like seething about this than there actually were. So they leaned into that perspective to try and capture those people, but they just ended up coming off like lunatics. Like, just let go of the culture war for a second and analyze the movie honestly. The Drinker's entire video was dog shit, and I don't usually complain about stuff like this, but The Drinker is one of the most annoying cadences I've ever heard.
A bit silly and irrelevant by the Barbies. Oh my goodness, what could the writers possibly be trying to tell us about their views on men?
Ugh, like why does he end every sentence by elongating the last word and growling with the back of his throat? Bro, unclench your jaw for a second, relax. Alright, that's it. Like and stuff, check out my other videos, and my second channel if you want. See ya!